Nikki Giovanni, a fierce and lyrical voice whose work illuminated love, liberation, and the unyielding power of self-expression, has died. Tributes are now pouring in from across the country as admirers and friends mourn the passing of a literary legend. Writer, activist, and public intellectual Nikki Giovanni was an unmissable and unmistakable presence in American culture for more than 50 years.
I'm not ashamed of our history because I know there is more to come.
Her poetry and prose, published in more than 24 volumes, grappled with race, sex, gender, and politics. And her commitment to fighting injustice inspired generations of Americans from all walks of life.
You cannot be afraid, and you cannot be worried about who does and who doesn't like what you do, because there's always somebody's not going to like it. If nobody doesn't like it, something's wrong with it.
Born Yolanda Cornelia Giovanni Jr. in 1943, Giovanni grew up in Cincinnati. At 15, she fled a turbulent family life and a father who was abusive to her mother.
I shouldn't say this on the radio, I guess, but it was clear that either I was going to kill him or I had to move. And so I decided to move.
If I dreamed natural dreams.
By the late 1960s, she had again moved to the Northeast, publishing militant, artful poetry that quickly made her a leading figure of the black arts movement, and a fiery feminist counterpoint to the machismo she found in certain pockets of the civil rights movement. In 1971, in a now iconic interview with James Baldwin, Giovanni, then just 28 years old, spoke to the problems she saw in the way some black women were treated in relationships.
Why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat you the way I treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell. Because I love you, I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man? For 10 years, so that we can get a child on his feet that says, yeah, father smiled at mother. He talked to me about school today.
By 30, she was a genuine literary star, selling out Lincoln Center.
1 ounce of truth benefits like a ripple on a pond.
Over the next decades, she published frequently and toured widely, often reading her poetry against the backdrop of gospel music.
He looked at his dusty cracked boots to say, sister, my time is getting near.
Giovanni spent 35 years as a professor of English at Virginia Tech. The day after a shooting there that killed 32 people back in 2007, the community turned to her for solace amid the tragedy.
No one deserves a tragedy. We are Virginia Tech. The Hokie Nation embraces our own and reaches out with open heart and hands to those who offer their hearts and minds. We are strong and brave and innocent and unafraid. We are better than we think and not quite what we want to be.
She reminded us all to always be bold, to always speak your mind, to always lift your voice, and no matter who's watching or who's in the room, to be unafraid, to be unashamed.
Poet Kwame Alexander was a friend who had studied under Giovanni at Virginia Tech.
When I think of black liberation and black power and all these things that Nikki wrote about so eloquently, is I like to think of this thing I call matter-of-fact black. The thing I think I learned from her, and that we have to remember our own humanity and not be defined by other people. And we got to remind America and the world of our humanity as well.
Among a lifetime of accolades, she won an American Book Award and was a 7-time recipient of the NAACP Image Award. And over a career that spanned more than half a century, she remained uncompromisingly herself.
What I know is that I will not let the world change me. I think that whatever it is that I have to give, I have some truths to give. I have, there's some laughter. I'm a black woman, and black women, despite all of it, we still find a way to laugh.
Giovanni is said to have continued working until her final days. Her final book of poetry, titled The Last Book, is set to be released next year. Nikki Giovanni died of complications from cancer. She was 81 years old.